Attention agents of Spectre, can one of you tell me who the this is? Today we will be discussing the new mission, Road to a Million. James Bond may be absent, but there are several new agents in training all around the globe. All of this and more on today's Bond Report. Hey guys, welcome back to the Bond Report. My name is Chris, aka the Bearded Blofeld. So today's a little different. I've got some guests with me that you may recognize from the upcoming exciting new show on Amazon Prime, 007 Road to a Million. Today I would like to welcome both Sam and James O'Neill. Welcome, gentlemen. How are we doing today?
Yes, doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Good to be here.
It's so nice to meet both of you guys. What an exciting time.
I know,
Right?
I feel like it's going from 0 to 100. Like over the past 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago there was like nothing, and now it's just like do. Everything's like falling into place really, really fast.
I was going to ask you guys, just to kind of kick things off, because I mean, obviously, for everybody at home, I'm sure most of them know, who are watching this channel at least, they know there's $1 million prize on the line here. Sorry, £1 million British pound prize on the line here. So walking into this, I can only imagine the intensity that this show put you guys through, but also at the same time, the experience and the bonding you guys have had together.
When I first applied to be on this show, I didn't even realize that it was anything to do with Bond, because they kept that very, very secret. In fact, everything about our involvement in this show has been kept very, very quiet, to the point that our very first adventure started with a text message on a Friday saying, "Be ready, 10 a.m. Monday." And that was it. And 10 a.m. Monday, a car pulls up outside our house and peeps the horn. And that was the start of our adventure. And we were paranoid. We were looking everywhere for hidden cameras and drones, and it was it was all very secretive, and that brought our level of anxiety and excitement off the scale. So when we actually entered into the adventure itself, and once we were going, we just had all this like built up adrenaline that needed released, and I think that comes across.
That is completely like some Black Ops spy level stuff. Like, get in the car. We're going now. You don't even know where you're going.
So to continue on that first adventure, the car takes us to the airport. We get out the car. Sam's phone rings. Is that Sam? Yes. Come into the airport. Have your passports and mobile phones ready. And as we walked into the airport, this gentleman opened a box, took our mobile phones, locked them in the box, put the box away, took our passports off us, and that was us. We were away on our first adventure.
Ow.
We didn't know where we were going. We didn't know what we had to do. If from then on, the next thing we did with them, that's the point at which we started getting instructions from the controller.
Oh, okay. So from there, I mean, it's just buckle up.
Once your passports and your phones were taken away from you, you were in game mode. It's like when a phone rings, every time, even now, whenever a phone rings with that same tone, I'm back in the game.
Sam, what was going through your head during this process at the same time?
Well, look, I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't what we got put into. It was like I was expecting one trip, go spend a couple of days with your dad doing something, and then that's a wrap, happy days. But then it just kept, every single challenge just kept escalating and getting more bondy and more exciting, and it was just totally nuts, totally nuts.
So Sam, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, obviously, I know that you're born in Belfast. I know that you've moved to Dundee recently. But what do you currently have going on?
Okay, so when I applied for the show, which was was it 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago. I was in Dundee, working as like a bartender in this tapas bar, pretty much serving Spanish food and pouring pints. And that, yeah, it was great fun. Later went on to work on like sailboats in Mallorca for a while, just like living on a sailboat and getting totally immersed in that like kind of culture. And since then, I've moved into a line of work where I'm working on like larger boats in the Scottish like North Sea. Am I the youngest? Yes, I'm the youngest contestant on the show. So for me, I don't know if I feel like there's a bit of a weight put on me there that I need to like carry it for the young guys like me. So
Right. Got to represent Gen Z, right?
yes, exactly.
So, James, tell me about yourself. I mean, obviously, I know you do some offshore work yourself. You're also from Dundee, and you actually have a fun connection with the controller Brian Cox. Is that correct?
Yeah, the connection is that the controller, Brian Cox, well, the actor, not the character, obviously, he comes from Dundee, which is my hometown. I grew up in a village called Montefieth, just on the outskirts of Dundee, and it was Brian Cox's brother Charlie was the shop owner. He was the shopkeeper, where we would go and buy our sweeties before we go to school. So small world.
Yeah, no, it all kind of all comes full circle. I get it. I've got a couple questions here for the guys today, and we're gonna go through these. Now, we can't give any spoilers away at home, but I wanted to kind of pick their brains a little bit and dig a little bit deeper to get to know both of these gentlemen and to find out what we can, for now, about the show and maybe what we can expect. So, in your words, describe some of the like most 007 and coolest kind of moments within the show that you can.
Okay, so in the trailer, you might have seen that we were at the F1 track, which to begin with was pretty nuts. Getting that VIP treatment and getting like pushed around and getting into the places where we probably shouldn't have been. Rubbing shoulders with people who are way more talented than us and are totally in their element, and just having absolutely no clue what we were doing. That was awesome. But in part of that mission, while we were running towards our end destination,
it was a timed. This was one of the timed challenges. So we'd literally been running all day, running from here to there, and time was running out, and we were doing. It was during the final stretch. We had I think we had like a half a mile left to run around this race course. We only had like a couple of minutes left. The clock was counting down.
The film team obviously wanted some kind of like aerial shots of this, but they weren't allowed to use the drone to film it. So there's crowds of people, hundreds and thousands of people probably around us, and the helicopter that was filming the actual F1 cars swoops down and starts chasing us up the track, and we are like this is for a shot that probably will only make up a second of the show, just so you see how big the budget is, just for this one little small moment of us running up this track. We are actually feel like we're running for our lives away from this like helicopter swooping 10 meters above us.
It was the Red Bull helicopter, but to us it felt like Spectre. We were just waiting for the machine guns to kick in as we were running.
Ooh, you guys were right in the thick of it, and that looked really cool.
You wouldn't believe it. Like, we were in the pits. We were actually in the pits, in the pit stops, and in the Aston Martin garage. Like, we had to walk past all the other teams. Do you know something really profound happened to us that day? And this one's a bit bizarre because we'd had our phones taken off us, and because we were in the middle of this adventure that was lasting for days. We had no contact with the outside world, and just one challenge runs into the next. As we were running through the VIP section of the Formula One, there's just all of a sudden this silence goes over, and we look up at this big screen, and there was 1 minute silence for the Queen of Britain had passed away, and they were taking a 1 minute silence. And that is how we, because we come from the United Kingdom, that is how we found out that the Queen had passed away, was when we were at the Formula One in the middle of this show. And so, although we were like running towards our challenge, we stopped and took part in that 1 minute silence and then continued on with our day. And it was the most bizarre experience.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine, because that's huge for you guys. I mean, that's a moment. like in history,
We'll always remember where we were.
right in the middle of the team and everything, that intensity, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute. Oh, okay. We'll take a time out. All right. Having been personally chosen by Barbara Broccoli, Michael G. Wilson, I want to say Greg was probably a bit a part of that as well. Greg Wilson. What was your expectations versus the reality of getting to kind of go in and experience this live action 007 inspired television show?
Like I said earlier, everything about this show was incredibly secretive. So we didn't know who was involved in the selection process until we went to the premiere. That was the first time that we met any other contestants, and that's the first time that we met anyone from Amazon or Eon Productions or 72 Films who weren't directly involved in the moments that we were in. So we were told very little. And when we arrived at the premiere, as Samuel mentioned, Barbara Broccoli was one of many people who came up to us. And I went to introduce myself. I was like, "Hello, I'm James. This is Sam." And she just put her arms on our shoulders and went, "Boys, I know who you are. I picked you for this show." And it just blew our minds. It really just blew our minds. We had no idea. We had no idea of the scale of this show. We had no idea of the budget, and we had no idea of how entertaining and awesome it's going to be.
Brian Cox is a legend in his own right. I mean, he just is. He's been around for quite some time. He's done so many great things in film and television. I know you said you didn't get to talk to any of the other contestants during the show. You didn't even know. Love that black ops element that they're doing here for this. How they completely kept you guys in the dark. They're like, no phones, no passports, no outside world contact. Adventure, here we go, clock in. What was your engagement? What was it like having those moments with Brian himself as the controller?
So we didn't really get to meet Brian in person. All we knew was the voice at the other end of the phone. So a random phone would ring anywhere in our adventure. We pick it up, and the voice at the end would give us this crazy, life-changing challenge that we had to go. So we did not like this voice because he was putting us through the ringer. He was absolutely putting us through the ringer.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah, it was a love-hate relationship, and for want of a better word, we'll refer to Brian as the voice, although he was the controller. Yeah, the voice on the other end of the phone. We loved the fact that whatever he was going to tell us would get us one step closer to winning £1 million. But on the other hand, we were going to have to overcome, some serious challenges and answer a very difficult question to know whether or not we could go any further. So it was a love-hate relationship with the voice of Brian Cox.
That's hilarious. And obviously from the fans' perspective, and especially the way they spin it on the trailer, we obviously know that you guys are not in the same room. There's miles apart from you, but that's so much more sinister knowing that you had no idea who he was, and it was just like, this guy again, he's calling constantly.
There was one moment, it was at the end of the day in Monza at the Formula One, and someone from production had stepped in, took us aside and said, "That's us done for the day, guys. We're going to pick up tomorrow." They sat us down at a cafe, got us a few beers, some food, and we're just winding down. We're just winding down, going, "Oh my God, my feet are killing me. We must have run a marathon today." Enjoying a beer and a chat and a catch up, and then just in the background, we can hear a phone ringing, and all of a sudden, we're back in the game. We'd been set up. We were still in the middle of a challenge. We hadn't finished. We hadn't finished, and we had a long, long way to go ahead of us. That nearly broke me.
They're like, we need to at least feed them legally. We can't not give them food. So they've got.
Hey, we went days without food.
We
went days without food.
Oh wow. Yeah, this is getting even more intriguing as I'm finding out all these little nuances and details here. So, guys, a little bit of a lighter question. This is just fun. Sam, I'm gonna start with you on this one. Who's your favorite Bond and why?
Well, look, obviously I'm younger than a lot of the Bond fans in this, so I have to say Daniel Craig. Like he is the Bond I grew up with. He is like the definition of who Bond is to me. So I love Daniel Craig. I love how he went from zero to hero. I love that he like didn't get many Bond tropes in the first movies, and then over the while he earned them and like earned the respect of the Bond fans. And I just think he's the best Bond for me.
I get that. All right, James.
Well, being a Scotsman, actually, my father's from Edinburgh, and he went to the same school as Sean Connery in Viewforth in Edinburgh. So there's that connection, and me and Sam both wore our kilts to the premiere. So I'd have to go for Sean Connery. Although I think I'm a bit of a Timothy Dalton fan. I think the opening scene on the Rock of Gibraltar when they're having that they're having like a training exercise, and so someone from Spectre parachutes in and starts taking them out one by one. That opening scene, I felt that Timothy Dalton, his character, added in the similar way that Daniel Craig did, reintroduced a grittiness, reintroduced an anger and a violence that perhaps had been missing previously. So I like what Timothy Dalton did.
I think Dalton really paved the way for Craig, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. He was kind of the I don't want to say the blueprint per se, but he definitely there was a lot of inspiration for Craig's Bond to open up and become that rough and tumble, gritty Bond that we hadn't seen. Great choices, gentlemen. Great choices. Uh, I am personally, if I have to go, I'm Connery all the way. There may be something to do with an age gap there, but I, he's just the man to me. So, for the sartorial community out there, because there's plenty of people out there who love their fashion of Bond, can you share any of the clothing that was on set? Was it all provided by the wardrobe department? Did you have to wear some of your own? Tell us about the kind of the fashion of the show.
What you'll have seen from the trailers and what we discovered at the premiere is a lot of or certainly some of the participants were given clothes from a wardrobe because they were in, say for example, they were in casino scenes, or being in a casino was part of their experience. So they got dressed up in their tux and whatnot. And it was great to see the guys at the premiere wearing the tuxedos that they were wearing in the show. So they obviously got to keep them.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Our adventures were quite different. They were more like rugged, and there was a lot of physical elements to the adventures that we took part in. And so we were just told, look, wear something that you're going to be comfortable in. We're going to put you through the ringer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all pretty much our own clothes. Although we did have help in the
desert in Chile, we got fully kitted out by a wardrobe department, and they put me in this nice leather jacket. So I thought I would wear it, show it off a little bit. So it was really cool. It's still all dusty and everything. I haven't cleaned it since I wore it, because I thought I want to keep it. Yeah, exactly. I want to keep it the way it is. So so we made sure that we were always like dressed up nice, prepared for anything.
And we do have some trinkets from the show. Funny enough, every adventure we were involved in, Sam and I chose to wear a different watch. I mean, we're total watch fans. So in the first one, I wear this dive watch. At the premiere, Sam's wearing this GMT, but I think by the time we got further involved in our adventures, the production were onto us. So they made us take our watches off, and they gave us an iconic an iconic timepiece to wear. So look out for it. It's
Yeah.
not going to be. It's not going to. The one that I'm wearing is not going to be as obvious as some of the other ones. I believe the Casino Boys were given a couple of Rolexes. So, but there's something put on my wrist. There's lots of little Easter eggs all the way throughout this show. I mean, when we got lost in the desert and we had to call in the cavalry. That's not a prop. That's
Okay.
that's the real thing.
Okay. Well, guys, if you don't mind, go ahead and show everybody what you got on there. Like, if you can get that a little closer to the camera. Yeah.
So our watches here are they're from a local watchmaker in Belfast, Ennixon, and his watches are a lot of them are inspired by the Bond style watches. The guy who is the watchmaker, Hans Ennixon, he's he dresses like Steve McQueen. He's got pictures of Sean Connery up in his showroom, and he loves these watches.
We would be friends.
So these are all handmade watches in Belfast, but
Beautiful.
they've got a real Bond flavor to them.
Guys, I'm going to get a link from these two, and I'm going to include it down below. So if you guys are interested in taking a look at the watches they were using, that way you can take a look at those and check their website out and see if that's something you want to pick up yourself. This is the evil question of the moment, okay?
Yeah.
So what Easter eggs, what teaser Easter eggs can you possibly share with us today that we should maybe look out for? I know, I'm putting you in the hot seat.
There'll be things like they'll have chosen a timepiece to stick on contestants' wrist, or they will have chosen an article of clothing to dress people in. But what to look out for would be, for example, our very first appearance in the show is where we're being asked a question to do with World War II. And we're in this house that is full of paraphernalia from that era. And, there's one or two things on the shelves and on cupboards that you might recognize. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So they're mixing in some hidden secrets here for the diehards.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Diehards will have a fun time trying to find all of these.
But not only that. So some of these Easter eggs that you're seeing, they're not replica. I mean, this was made in conjunction with with Eon Productions. So the actual things that were in shows, the actual thing, the props department from Bond, I believe, provided the 72 films with a whole bunch of props that would have been used in the Bond movies that you're seeing strategically planted.
That's exciting.
In the background.
Again, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to sit here and talk with me. This has been so much fun. I really look forward to watching you guys throughout the adventures of Road to a Million. I hope nothing but success for you. Obviously, we won't know until the end, but good luck on winning the £1 million prize. And if you ever want to come on the channel again, please let me know. I would love to have you back.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
It's been great talking with you guys. Thank you guys at home. Appreciate all the support and everything. And as always, Merry Christmas, 007. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Sam and James. I really enjoyed having them on the channel and learning more about them as well as the show. And a very special thanks to Alice Goodger and Lisa Birch for not only making the introduction, but also helping to coordinate this entire event. So there we have it. Season 2 is pretty much wrapped on casting. They're probably going to start pre-production here very soon if they haven't already. This show is here to stay. And I love the fact that they're taking a chance here and trying something different. They're branching out from the norm, from the films, and they're trying something a little bit more grounded, a little bit more accessible for everybody. And that's exciting because that means we're getting a brand new generation and era of not only Bond movies, but products, fans, people like me and you who can connect more. And there's going to be those people who this show pulls them into Bond. And I'm excited to meet you. So let me know down in the comments what you think. Is this something that you're gravitating towards? Have you loved it? Is it not for you? Let me know. I'd love to hear. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, Merry Christmas, 007.